Welcome to Data Profession Academy. This video is part of our Data Analyst 101 playlist, where we teach you everything you need to know to become a data analyst. Today is day 2 of our session, and we will learn how to stand out in our job application. We will also discuss how to know when you are ready to send out those job applications.
Okay, so when you're starting a job search, the obvious places are like LinkedIn, Seek, Indeed. Those are the online places where you can find the jobs being advertised. But that's what everyone else will do. I'm not saying these are bad places. Obviously, these are good places, but every other person in Australia is doing the same thing. They're looking at LinkedIn, Seek, Indeed, and they're applying from there. And when we do what everyone else is doing, we're on the average. And in a job application, the average person never gets the job. Only the best person gets the job because it's for one position. All advertisements are usually for one position. So we have to try to do something extra. So what those extra steps could be? Sometimes there will be contact information if you want further details. This is the phone number or email you can contact. So you can contact that person, or maybe it's a reception. You can contact them and you can try to have a conversation about it. Saw your job on Seek or LinkedIn where I want to know more about it. And that more detail could be like what sort of team we'll be working with, or what sort of responsibility, if the responsibility is not clear from the advertisement. You try to show your enthusiasm or show your interest in that job. And sometimes it might not work out because that number is for reception and it's not the hiring manager. Sometimes it will be the hiring manager, so it will definitely help you. But that way you can differentiate at least yourself from rest of the others, because out of 100 people who apply for that online job, 3 or 4% will only make that call. So when the hiring manager goes through that resume list, maybe they will remember something about you. So that's one way. And same with LinkedIn as well. If there is the contact number, you can contact them, or you can connect to them on LinkedIn. And if you're connected with them on LinkedIn, next time their company has hiring, they will usually share about it as well. So even when you are not searching, it will start to appear on your feed and that hiring this data analyst position. Maybe other people haven't known about it yet because they haven't posted it. And you have that advantage. If you are already connected to that person, you can reach out to them and say, hey, I saw you shared about this job post, and just start that conversation. It's always good to have those kind of personal connections. And obviously you talked about recruiters as well. So just reach out recruiters, give them your resume. You can ask them feedback on your resume as well. So they will help you with your resume. And then obviously they can keep your resume on their file. And then if something comes up that matches that profile, then they will call you back. And that's how usually I get my jobs nowadays anyway, because my resume is almost with all these recruiters in Perth. So every time a new opportunity comes up, I get 5 or 6 calls. So that's another way to reach out recruiters. Usually recruiters are not so good with entry-level roles because they usually recruit for mid-senior or senior roles. But there is no harm in reaching out them for entry-level role as well, because they might come across entry-level role, and not just the job part, they can actually help you with your profile and what things you might need to consider learning, because they are in the recruitment field and maybe they are local to your city as well. So they can suggest that, okay, based on our city, they are looking for a lot of Databricks skills. So if you want to get a job, maybe you need to learn Databricks. Maybe they can advise you that way because they are in the industry. So they will know what sort of talent companies are looking for. So it will be really good for that kind of advice as well for reaching out recruiters.
Okay. And I work for a finance company. I worked as finance consultant, but I had done some cleaning stuff there as well. So I have devoted my such a way that as I had done some data cleaning stuff, data wrangling stuff before. So just to show that I've done something in the past in relation to data, face anything, not exactly data analyst thing, but mostly data cleaning stuff. Is that a good way to approach recruiters as well?
Yeah, definitely. And that's really good because now we have got the finance domain skill as well. That's really important if you're applying for roles within the finance industry. And again, as a financial analyst, you probably have built some reports. Maybe those reports are in Excel, which is still fine because you can still build reports in Excel. You might have done some data validation. Maybe you're doing some calculations here, calculation there. You're checking them against each other. That's data validation. You have actually done all these data activities, even in your role as a financial analyst. So definitely put that in resume in the best way possible. But before we get to today's session, I wanted to talk about the learning process. Okay. So learning, let's say that this is time. So this is time axis. And let's say this is the learning. So when you are learning anything, it takes time. So as you spend more time with it, your learning goes up, right? You learn new thing and you become more comfortable with it. So for example, it goes something like, let's say you spend more time on it, you keep learning. And after a certain point in time, because usually initially the learning phase is quite quick because there will be a lot of things to learn, or you learn the basic stuff and now you'll be like, okay, I'm comfortable. And after that, it starts to get tricky because now the things that you need to learn start to become more and more difficult. Maybe now you need to learn the advanced stuff. Maybe you need to learn all those edge cases and how to optimize things and like all those nitty gritties. So initially the learning goes fast because you're just learning basic stuff. But after a certain point in time, the basic stuffs are done. Now you need to move on to the advanced stuff. So the learning takes a little bit longer and then it keeps going. And after a certain point in time, it kind of flattens because after there are not much things to learn, but you can still keep learning. There will always be some new things to learn, but overall, you have learned everything that there is to essentially get the job done in expert level. And what we tend to do, especially like when we are a start, is we think that we will reach up to this point, and that's never a good idea because you can't learn everything. Because from here to here, like these kind of things, it could be really hard to learn because you just don't know what you don't know. Because what you have seen that in practice and then see, okay, this kind of weird things can happen. Or in this kind of edge case, this particular thing that I have learned about does not work. So you have to have some workaround and things like that. So up to this point, you can learn on your own because this is the basics. For example, let's say we were talking about Excel. So on Excel, we learned about maybe data types. We learned about Power Queries. We learned about pivots and all those basic things. And up to this point, that's what the basic things are. And from here, it can be the advanced thing, which is, okay, when you have more than 100,000 rows, then this formula takes too long. So you need to think about array formulas or something else. Maybe there is some weird edge cases. And when you start working in a real world, start to come up with those kind of problems. And when you solve those problems, that's when you learn about it more. That's where your advanced learning. But if you just are here and you're not doing anything, like you're not maybe not doing your own projects or anything, from here on, you cannot learn by just looking at tutorials or watching other people do it. From here on, the only way to learn is by doing it yourself, trying different problems and see what sort of issues you run into. And it applies for everything. Basics are always easy to learn. You can watch someone do it, watch the tutorials, and you learn the basics. But after that, the only way to learn it is by doing it yourself, running into those problems yourself, and searching the solution yourself. So this is, let's say this is the newbie point or beginner point, and this is the expert point. No one can go from newbie to expert without actually working on it. And it makes sense as well. No one can be an expert just by watching tutorials. Once we know this, what does that tell us? Which is the point we should start applying for the jobs then? Is it the newbie point or is it the expert point?
No lies.
Learn more from here to here without actually doing the real work. All right. So just keep that in mind when we had this discussion this morning. Should we start applying for the jobs? Then this is your answer. If you believe that you're in the newbie point where you know the basics, then you should start applying for it because the only way to learn forward is by doing it yourself. So that's your answer. If you're in here, start applying for the jobs. You will learn a lot of things on the job itself, and that's how you become an expert. And usually the time frame that it takes from zero to newbie is not like hard and fast rule or something. If you spend 1,000 hours on anything, any topic, you can become a newbie. A newbie in the sense that, yes, you can start doing the job related to whatever that topic is. Maybe you are interested in robotics. Spend 1,000 hours in robotics. You can start junior roles in robotics. It can be whatever. Okay, I'm interested in painting. Spend 1,000 hours in painting. You will be good enough to start a job in painting. I'm not saying you will be expert. You will be good enough to start a job. And same with data analytics. You want to start data analytics, spend 1,000 hours on it, and you will be good enough to start a job. That doesn't mean you have to start 1,000 hours now, because a lot of the things that you need in data analytics, you probably already have learned before, because you have done a lot of years of schooling. You studied up to year 12 high school, you have gone to university, so you have already learned a lot of things. Maybe that 1,000 hours comes down to maybe 800 hours or something. But if you spend that much hours on it, you will be ready to start a job. Okay, so just keep in mind, it's not, okay, I'm taking this 40 hours class and I'll be ready for analyst job. That 40 hours plus all of your self-learning hours, a lot of hours that you spend doing something, maybe it's the assignment, maybe it's your personal project and anything. If you sum it all together, you're close to 1,000 hours. That should give you confidence that, yes, I can do something on this particular topic, or I can do something in this field. But again, this is just a general idea showing you how much effort it is required to break into any industry. Again, don't let this stop you. I haven't spent 1,000 hours in data analytics, so I should not start applying for jobs. That's not what I meant here. What I'm just trying to say is this is how much effort it goes into breaking into any industry. You just need to put some time in it. No matter like you haven't seen that before in your life, if you put enough time in it, you can learn anything. That's what I want you to take away from here. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you put your mind to it, if you put your time in it, you can learn anything.
That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.